Shalom Alechem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome back to Second Kings. We're going to look at chapter 2 today. In this chapter, there are 25 verses, beginning in verse 1, regarding Elijah being taken up into heaven. It says, Elijah with a whirlwind. Let's just go from the beginning. And it came to pass when Hashem was going to take Elijah with a whirlwind, as it were, into heaven. So as it were versus into heaven. So the Septuagint is leaning towards perhaps it is appearing as if he's being taken up into heaven. Not that he was literally ascending into heaven and no one could ever see him again. As we'll see in the narrative, they try to look for Elijah. Verse 8, we have a footnote regarding the dry ground. So they both went over, Elijah and Elisha went over on dry ground. The footnote reads, literally into the wilderness. The footnote makes less sense since the waters were literally parted, but it can make sense to mean that they did go into the desert. But the reason why I say it makes less sense is because how are they going to the desert when they're walking between the waters in the middle of the river and it's dry ground? So it's not literally a desert unless you interpret it to mean they went to the desert from that area, from that location. Excuse me. Verse 10, footnote says, ask the hard thing. So this is Elijah asking Elisha, what would you like before I am taken from you? And he asked for a double portion of your spirit. And his response is, you have asked a hard thing. In the footnote in the Septuagint reads, hardened in asking, which makes less sense because why would he be hardened in any way, in terms of his stubbornness or his heart? That's a negative connotation. But to say that it's a difficult thing, that makes sense. Okay, verse 11. There's an omission of as it were into heaven. So again, that is a continuous difference. Verse 12, there's an addition of the word my in the Masoretic in regards to father. Verse 15, on the opposite side. So the prophets who were in Jericho were on the opposite side. So they're specifically on the opposite side versus they were to view him. We don't know where they were, but it's a lot more vague in the Masoretic. Verse 16, footnote for the word peradventure reads in the Greek, lest at any time. So seek thy Lord. Peradventure, the spirit of Hashem has taken him up. Versus, if we just replace that, it would read, behold now, there are with thy servants 50 men of strength. Let them go now and seek thy Lord, lest at any time the Spirit. So it still makes sense when you substitute the footnote for peradventure. There's an omission of cast him into Jordan, the river Jordan. So that is an important detail, meaning they were looking for him even in the waters. He could have ended up anywhere. Verse 19, it says good versus pleasant. It's not just pleasant, it's actually good. But the waters, this is an interesting difference. The waters are bad versus not. So bad would mean the waters are of bad quality, perhaps they're dirty, maybe they're making people sick, versus there's a drought. There's no water at all. Verse 21 in both versions actually confirm the Septuagint is more true. It confirms its veracity. It says here, the waters were healed. Thus says Hashem, I have healed these waters. You can't heal waters that are non-existent. Just common sense. Verse 23. Now this story can be a little controversial because people will read it according to both English translation, Septuagint or Masoretic, as little children, meaning toddlers, school-aged children, prepubescent children. That's not what it's talking about here. When you break down the word little and children, so little in Hebrew is katan, which means young, could mean younger, or unimportant or lesser. Then the word for children is nar, which could mean youth, young men, adolescents. So this most likely is unimportant adolescents, unimportant young men, lesser young men. Is this lesser in terms of a caste? Is there a hierarchy? Perhaps it's talking about the morality. Their morality is lesser and of a low standard. But it is a fact, these were not little toddlers ages 3 to 10 years old. No. Most likely they were delinquent teenagers between the ages of 12 at the minimum and at the maximum 19. Why? Because the age of 20 years old in ancient Israel is considered to be a man, an adult male, and they would be ready to be conscripted into war, to fight in battles. And then the word go up, that expression that they use, go up, bald head, go up, that's referring back to what happened to Elijah when he was taken up. Taken up. So be taken up is what essentially they're saying. This is a direct reference, the go up, to what happened to Elijah, meaning they want Elisha to also be taken up supernaturally in a whirlwind and disappear from off the face of the earth. This means essentially it's a death threat. That's what they're saying. Okay, in verse 24, there's an addition of she in regards to the bears. So we don't know the gender of the bears or the sex of the bears. And then again, it says children in verse 24. So here's the she bears, and then children repeated again, but that is simply young men. The Hebrew here is yaled, young men, offspring, youths. And a question many people would have in regards to the story is, was Elijah cursing these young adolescents? Was this justified? Was this overboard? What did he say? It says that he cursed them in the name of Hashem, and look what happened immediately. Immediately, there wasn't a delay. It happened pretty instantaneously. So the question of whether it was justified or not, did Hashem agree with it? Well, the answer is right in front of you. The fact that the bears did as they were commanded confirms that it was justified, regardless of anybody's opinion. Only Hashem knows the hearts of these young adolescent teenagers or young men, and he knows their intentions as well. Most likely their intentions were to kill Elisha. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you very much for your time. Until next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.